Welcome to Bible Study Live with Connie, soon Connie and Friends. Right now it's just me talking to y'all, and we're doing Bible Study Live on Facebook. Post it later on YouTube, and then I'll send the link on Facebook again. Welcome. We do this usually every Thursday at 7:30. We keep it short. Normally it's around 30 minutes, sometimes shorter, sometimes longer if the conversation gets good. So tonight, what I'm talking about is the role of a leader, and this has come up multiple times. That's usually what prompts Bible studies. Is something will come up in my business life or my personal life, and I'll realize that there are examples for us in the Bible on that very thing. There's so many things that the Bible, I've mentioned many times, is a guidebook, it's a history book, it's a journal. The people who wrote it were writing about their experiences, the way we journal things. It's a guidebook. We're supposed to look at it to know what to do and what not to do. And it's a history book. So it's a lot of things. And when I'm going through something or talking about something, then I realize, dang, that's exactly what Jesus was talking about, or what happened to Jesus, or, there was an example. It's not just us going through this and no one's ever gone through it before. It's not that. It's not that. So anyway, talking about the role of a leader, I'm going to give some personal examples first, and I'm going to share a couple of things that came up today when I was talking about this as well. So those of you who are parents, we'll start with you. And often we want to be our child's friend in addition to their parent, because we like them. They're little people, they're little us's. We really like them, and so we want to be their buddy. We want to hang out with them and be their buddy and do the thing and have them confide in us and all of that. And you know what? Our job first is to be their parent, because they have other friends, but they don't have other parents. And granted, it takes a village. There are other parent-like ones, but the ones who are supposed to be their parents, got one set of those. And they're lucky. And if they're especially lucky, they might get some step parents or some adoptive parents, which is really wonderful as well. But when we fail at the role of parenting, and instead of, I'm going to let my friend in first, and then I'm going to pin myself because she's going to pop up on the screen. All right, so let me pin my video. There we go. So when we choose to be our child's friend instead of, oh, I know why I can't see them. I gotta fix this. Hold on, guys. Technical thing. During a thing this week, I had to turn off hide non-video participants, and I don't want them hidden anymore. I need to be able to see them. Anyway, so hello, sisters. Hello, sisters. Hello, sisters. I'm talking about being a parent and trying to be your child's friend instead of their parent. And when we make that mistake, and we, hello, Dabrian, when we make the mistake of trying to be their friend over being their parent, they lose on both sides. And we lose on both sides. Because if we fail at being their friend, but we're really good at being their parent, we're still in a good position. But if we fail at being their parent, then we're not a parent and we're not a friend. And we have a job to do. Our first job is to be their parent. So as much as we may like them, want to hang out with them, and think of them as a friend, and they may be a confidant or somebody that we're close to, who we admire and like a friend, first and foremost, we're their parents. So there's that piece. There's a parenting piece. And I know people don't always want to hear that. They want to be their kid's buddy and, I want to be their friend. Okay, but who's going to be their parent? Who's going to be their mama? Who's going to be their daddy? And you don't want somebody from the outside doing it if they're not supposed to. It gets into a whole other set of problems. It's the same as a boss. And when you are a leader, that's your job, is to be the boss, to lead the group. You want to be your friend, you want to be, and sometimes you start off as friends. Ultimately, people know you're the leader because you started the thing or whatever. When you first launch, just, Three Musketeers, you link arms, you all do it together and you're all buddies. But when stuff jumps off, looking for a leader, being the buddy doesn't work. And I learned that the hard way. I've learned it the hard and painful way. I've started things early on, and it felt like all for one and one for all, and we're all doing it together, and started to grow. All of a sudden, I noticed my friends, or my friends prior to business, oh, going out, going out to dinner, going out after work. I'm like, why y'all didn't ask me? You're the boss. I want to do that. I was so hurt because we started together. Even though, yes, I know I was the boss, I wanted to go hang out with my friends. But when you are the boss in an organization, first and foremost, you're the boss. You can also be friendly. You can even develop a friendship, especially once you no longer work together. You can pick up where you left off with that friendship. You can realize, I really like this person. But it doesn't mean you get to prioritize your friendship over your leadership in the workplace. And that is a hard truth. I've lived it multiple times. Honestly, it took me more than one time to bump my head on that, get my feelings hurt, wear it on my sleeve, cry to my sister, all that multiple times. I didn't get it after the first time. I didn't get it after the second time. I didn't get it after the fourth time. I mean, honestly, it's a hard thing, especially if you're starting together and you feel like we're doing this together, like you're my buddy. And now I will give you another example. I'm going to give you a personal example where you can see it in that situation. When I was running the neighborhood music school, it was a blessing. One time we had a break-in, and it was my job to secure the school, make sure that the school was secure afterward. It's one thing if we had a break-in and there was nobody there, and just got the notice, the security company. That's one thing. Still, it's my job to go and check it out. It's not my job to appoint whomever. Granted, if I had a head of security, I could send him, sure. But let me give you the different example. One time somebody came into the school at night. It was actually a woman. Not that that makes a difference, but it sort of does. It wasn't a guy, but it was a woman who was high on something. She was going into the classrooms, going into people's purses, taking things out. We realized we had a security breach. I had to call the police, and I had to basically watch her, follow her. She was, like in a zone high. And I had to send one of my staff to every classroom because we had put some security measures in place. Every teacher locked their door, the students inside, so that we knew that they would stay safe, because we didn't know if she had a weapon. We didn't know what might happen. And my job to protect those babies, their parents, the teachers, my employees, that was my job. In that moment, it didn't matter if I was scared. It didn't matter if I was like, I don't want to do this. They were looking to me to protect them, tell them what to do, period. And I did. Police came, then we could send out the all clear. You can come out. The lady got apprehended. She was, I think it was high on meth. I can't remember what it was. But recognizing in this moment, this is on me. This is not, oh, well, we should all figure it out. We're all friends here. We're all, when it's time to lead, it's time to lead. And that's your job, is to lead. There was another time when we were so blessed. We got to go see Coco, and we took like 100 kids basically to a premiere of Coco, thanks to our board member, Dan Guerrero. We had a private screening. We had, chaperones. They each had X many number of kids. We had buses that we reserved. So all of these little ones are going to see Coco. Then they all have to come back to the school and be matched up with their parents at like 10 p.m. on a weeknight. My heart, whole time, because the place where the theater was, some open areas, was open to the public. It wasn't just us. So every time somebody got up and went to the bathroom from the theater, I had to make sure who was watching the bathroom route and all of that. When we finally finished the event, and I knew every single child had been placed safely back into the arms of their parent, that's when I could breathe. I couldn't even focus on the movie because I had care, feeding, and protection of 100 kids I was responsible for, period. And that kind of thing, that role of a leader, of recognizing you're in that leadership job, is first and foremost your job. So when people say, oh, I'm gonna take off my leader hat, I'm gonna put on my girlfriend hat, I can do that if I'm talking to somebody who doesn't work for me. Let's say I take off my leader hat and put on my girlfriend hat. She's like, oh, I'm so glad you're my girlfriend right now. I saw all this money from the company today. I just tell you, I've had it in my pockets. That leader hat is going right back on. Because first and foremost, that is the nature of our relationship. And we can be mistaken by thinking, oh, well, we're just talking as friends now, right? We're not talking as us, an employee, or bottom line is if you are in the position of leader, that's your first role. Everything else, I can be a friendly leader, I can be a loving leader, I can be a confidant leader, I can be all of those things. But the first thing is I'm still the boss. I'm still the boss. And I know, like I said, I've walked through it. I like people. I have friends and I want to be able to be friends with everybody. And sometimes the people I work with, I really, really love. I want them to be my friends. What they need me to be, their leader. You guys notice on Facebook, I put in the ad about this particular Bible study. There's a movie called U571. Did you see that thing just float by? I don't know what that was. But there's a movie called U571. Matthew, it's like an all-star cast: Bill Paxton, Matthew McConaughey, Harvey Keitel, and Keitel. So basically, Matthew McConaughey is not ready to be a leader. He has the proficiency of all of his exams, and he knows all of the things that captain needs to know. He knows all of those things. He's really not ready to take the leadership mantle, that baton, or he's not ready for that piece. He's not ready to make the tough decisions. He's not ready to make, because as a boss, I know that you got friends, but as a boss, if the bottom line is we got to make cuts, the one that need the cut is my friend, now you got conflict of interest. If people know, first and foremost, I got to be your boss. I love you. We're friends. We will be friends. Once this is over, we're going to be friends. I love you already as a friend. But in this situation, first and foremost, I'm your boss. You got to do that. I know, like I said, I know sometimes it doesn't feel fair. I know. That is what it is. That is what it is. And I had a situation where somebody was saying, I thought I was talking to my friend, not my boss. And I didn't think they were going to take what I told them as a boss instead of as a friend. You're talking to your boss, though. You're going to do that. Even if they don't want to. You can't. If you've been a boss, you can't ever take off that boss hat. So if somebody tells you something that affects them in the workplace and affects the workplace, maybe it's something that they're doing that's wrong, or something, like, okay, I'm gonna tell you, like a girlfriend, I'm juggling 3 offers right now. It's really cool. And you didn't even know they were given notice. There's stuff that you will react to as a boss, as a leader, that even if you want to just be like, I'm so happy for you, my friend. And now I need to put on my other hat because I got some stuff I got to deal with. It happened. So I was thinking about it, and I was talking about Jesus today, and how, hi Holly. I was talking about Jesus and how when he went to sleep on the boat, stuff went down, storm came up, woke him up. You're the leader. Save us. We're gonna drown. They didn't say, you know what, Peter, you've been the fisherman all these years, go us to safety. And went straight to the boss. They went straight to the boss. Conversely, when Jesus said to his buddies, James and John, those were his 3, all the disciples were, boys, right? The one. I need you to just watch out for me. I'm gonna go over here and pray. Can you just stand guard? Keep an eye. They were like, He was like, wait, seriously? Can you just an hour, please? Can you just stay awake? Yeah, we got you. Times, right? Are you serious? You really fell asleep again? Oh, you know what? Never mind. It's upon us now. Here they come. So interesting. He was 100% human in that moment. And you can tell in the Garden of Gethsemane, even what he was praying to God, not your will, not my will, but yours be done. Like as he was praying, you could hear and feel his humanity. To his disciples, he's still the boss. He's still the leader. So when he's like, I need you to just You just have my back for a moment and I just need to take my guard down and put my face on the ground and get my tears out. And you're still the boss. You're still the boss. I know on the human side, there are times that sure, you see your boss cry and you're like, oh my gosh, what can I do? Because you're loving and compassionate. And that's so wonderful. Do that because bosses are humans too. They are. But the bottom line is, when you're in that boss role, you're still the boss. You're still the boss. So I'm going to read a little bit. There are 3 different accounts of Jesus sleeping on the boat when he's trying to get his sleep in. And, seasoned fishermen dealing with this storm to wake him up. 3 different accounts. It's in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And I'll take a look. They're all fairly short, and they all almost read exactly the same way. They have little nuances, but it clearly happened. There are 3 different accounts of it. So if you go to Matthew 8, we'll start there. Matthew 8, 23 through 27. It says, then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Without warning, a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us! We're going to drown. He replied, you of little faith, why are you so afraid? He got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. That's in Matthew. Let's read it in Mark. Mark 4. Go to Mark 4, verses 35 through 41. Sometimes it's good to read all the different versions of it because, number one, it also gets in your head real good. And then that's in 3 different accounts. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Jesus sleeping on the boat, calm the storm. All right. So Mark 35, that day, when evening came, he said to his disciples, let us go over to the other side. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. I don't know what that means. They took him along just as he was in the boat. We got to study that. It's an interesting phrase, isn't it? There were also other boats with him. Isn't that interesting? We don't often read that, too, that there were other boats. Furious squall, which is what they called it last time, came up and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, the time they call it the stern, sleeping on a cushion. We find out about the cushion in Mark. Disciples woke him and said to him, teacher, don't you care if we drown? That's some sarcasm right there, isn't it? Don't you care if we drown? What is that? Anyway, he got up, rebuked the wind and said to the waves, quiet, be still. The wind died down and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, why are you so afraid? You still have no faith? They were terrified and asked each other, who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him. Interesting. Isn't that an interesting version of it in Mark? And then the last one's in Luke chapter 8, verses 22 through 25. One day, Jesus said to his disciples, let's go over to the other side of this lake. So they got into a boat and set out. See, they don't mention the other boats here. Isn't that interesting? As they sailed, he fell asleep. A squall, you can call it furious, but a squall came down on the lake so that the boat was being swamped and they were in great danger. Disciples went and woke him saying, Master, Master, we're going to drown. Not, don't you care if we drown? Not, Lord, save us. We're going to drown. He got up, rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided and all was calm. Where is your faith? He asked his disciples. In fear and amazement, they asked one another, who is this? He commands the winds and the water, they obey him. Powerful. It's powerful. It's interesting, different depictions of it from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Also 2 accounts of what happened in Gethsemane, and they are almost identical. So this is in just Matthew and Mark. Matthew and Mark about Gethsemane. And Jesus asking his people, watch over him. So in Matthew 26, verses 36 through 46, it says, and Jesus went with his disciples to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to them, sit here while I go over there and pray. He took Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, James and John, which you didn't know, along with him. He began to be sorrowful and troubled. He said to them, my soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch with me. Going a little farther, he fell with his face to the ground and prayed, my Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me, not as I will, but as you will. Then he returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. You men not keep watch with me for 1 hour? He asked Peter. Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. He went away a second time and prayed, my Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done. When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more, and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. He returned to the disciples and said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is near and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Now they're up and about, right? Now they're up. Don't forget Peter sliced off an ear. It's just crazy. Anyway. So it's also in Mark 14. I'll read that count as well. Mark 14, verses 32 through 42. Went to a place called Gethsemane, and Jesus said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. He took Peter, James, and John along with him. He began to be deeply distressed, troubled. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death, he said to them. And both accounts say this. That's what he said. My soul is overwhelmed to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch. A little farther, he fell to the ground and prayed that if possible, the hour might pass from him. Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, what you will. He returned to his disciples and found them sleeping. Simon, he said to Peter, are you asleep? Did you not keep watch for 1 hour? Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the body is weak. Once more, he went away and prayed the same thing. When he came back, he again found them asleep because their eyes were heavy. They did not know what to say to him. So he must have awakened them again, like, really? Seriously? Really? Didn't know what to say to him. Returning the third time, he said to them, are you still sleeping and resting? Enough. Hour has come. Look, the Son of Man is betrayed to the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Really similar, as I said, accounts in Matthew and Mark about Gethsemane. Again, what it made me think of is, as a leader, people are counting on you to lead. And there are times when, as a leader, the role of leader can be lonely, and you're looking for that support. To assume you're going to get it from the people who report to you or who are looking to you as a leader, it can often be unlikely and hurtful if you're expecting that. You can have peers, though. I mean, Jesus didn't have any peers other than his father, but as a leader, a human leader, we can have peers and friends that are separate from our workplace, and those need to be treasured. Really do, because our role as leader, a role that we must operate in as long as we are in that appointed role. There are things we have to do. I know that sometimes it doesn't feel fair. We don't want that. But like I said, you're a parent, and put it this way, even you are married and you have a husband, you've got children, That house needs to be defended. It's likely going to fall to the husband. If you are a single mother or your husband is not home, it falls to you. Now, those roles sometimes reverse. I'm sure they are. Not as often as you would think, but you know what it's like. You hear somebody breaking in, your husband is home, you're going to be like, honey, he's not home. It's up to you to protect your children. I had that happen one time when I was married. My husband was in Chicago. Somebody tried to get into our house, and I had a baby. My baby was maybe a year. I don't even know if Zora was a year yet. I called the police so fast. I don't do guns, of course, but I got a knife and I, closed the baby's door and I called the police and let them know. And they actually apprehended the people. They were college students who thought they were going into their own house or to their friend's house or whatever, and it was the wrong house, but they were at the door. Like you could see the figure and trying the door and trying to just push it in. I know they're in there. And it was all of that in the middle of the night, like 2, 3 in the morning. My husband was away, got a knife, and my job was to protect my baby. It was mama bear time. It was mama bear. As the leader, as the parent, as the boss, it's what you do. When stuff jumps off, people are looking at you on how you're going to handle this. You may even have some advisors. But the bottom line is that the people who report to you, even if they advise you at times, they're counting on you to make the right decision, make the right call. It's hard. Sometimes it doesn't feel fair. You just want buddies. But the bottom line, that's why I said, you guys have to watch U571. You got to watch U571. There's a line in it. Now I don't have it handy. It's you're the skipper now, which means you have to make the decision even if you don't know what decision to make. Like people are counting on you to make the decision, whether you know what you're doing or not, because you're the skipper. So it's a deep movie. It's a deep movie about leadership to me. I mean, it's about other stuff, Russian this and spy stuff, and I like it anyway. But it also really deals with leadership, and it's powerful. It's powerful. It's worth watching. It's worth watching. Men and women alike like it. So U571. Anyway, that's what I have to share tonight about the role of a leader. And so now I will unpin myself and invite my sisters to join me. Hello, my sisters. Gina. She's looking around like she's not there. No, she can hear me.
I'm here. Somebody open the door.
Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Hi, Paul. It's interesting. I tend to. Okay.
He's not off for what?
I've been a boss and a friend, and I have been an employee who is friends with my boss. And it can get dicey. My best friend was my employee when I first met her. I know that my current boss and I will be friends when we're no longer in an employee-boss relationship, and we're friends now, but it's always tempered with the knowledge that, in our current roles, she's the leader. So, yeah, and I think we both have the maturity to remember that there's a level of maturity in recognizing that and being able to navigate that.
Yeah. And as boss,
and as the boss, yes, there's a level of maturity there too, to recognize that, yeah, that I love you, you're my friend, I might have to fire you one day, and that's hard. That's really hard. That's why you don't hire family, or they why it becomes difficult in hiring family, because it is. I'd hired my friend for a role not long ago, and we started it when I hired him. Let's just see how it goes. This isn't your typical thing, but let's just see how it goes, and not really recognizing that if it doesn't go well, it could really damage our friendship. And so when it didn't go as well as we had hoped, I think we both worked really hard to make sure that we ended it in a way that didn't damage our friendship.
Which means that you did that in a respectful and honoring way as a boss, not just as a friend.
Yes.
If you'd handled it poorly as a boss, you wouldn't still be friends.
Exactly. Exactly. The boss relationship had to supersede the friend relationship until it didn't, right? That's like, okay,
Yeah.
we're better as friends. So, yeah,
Yeah.
had to put him on probation.
I know. I know.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
know.
It's
And
really
how many
tough.
times have I cried to you about my friends all went out and I wanted to go with them and they didn't invite me?
Yeah. It's different because they have to be careful what they say. You know, they can't have that conversation about how they stole money from their company they work for. No.
Can't do it.
No,
Can't
we
do it.
can't. Mm-mm.
Can't do it. Hey, Debrian.
Hello.
You have anything you want to share or any comments?
Uh, um, mm, I just thank you for going through the multiple accounts of both Gethsemane as well as the calming of the storm. That's one of the things, I guess, call me the biblical nerd. That's one of the things that I really enjoy is being able to compare them and to see the similarities and the differences. And so thank you for doing that and being able to tie that in to really show just the role reversal of, it's same type of situation, but whose perspective are you looking at? Being able to look at it for both of the accounts there, from with the storm, being able to look at it from the quote unquote employees, or the in terms of the disciples, their fear, at being there in the middle of that storm. And it's like, we need you, step it up, bro. you know, and then to then see on the other hand when it's Jesus needing them, and he cannot rely on them. And that's just, it's heartbreaking to really look at it that way. But so thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a really good point. That as the boss, no matter how much your employees have your back or want to have your back, they can't know what you know. They can't do what you do. They can't take the burden of leadership from you, even when they want to. So,
Have you guys seen the movie U571?
I don't think I have.
I think I may have, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember it well enough to be able to say, oh yeah. I don't.
Again, I look real quickly and tell so that the people watching know where you can see it. So justwatch.com, let me do a promo for them. Justwatch.com will tell you where the movie can be seen. So U571, type right up. Okay, you can stream it on Fubo, Showtime, DirecTV if you have it, or you can rent it on Amazon, Apple TV, all that, DirecTV, those things. So you can rent it for $3.99 on Amazon or Apple TV. Or if you have Fubo, I don't know, is Fubo one of those free services? I know there's some like Canopy or one of those that are like free services. I don't know if Fubo is one of them. But anyway.
I've never even heard of that one. I'm like,
I don't know
FUBU,
if
that's a
Fubu is
clothing
free.
line.
It pops up for me, but I don't know that it's free. I think it's
Okay.
another paid one.
Yeah, it's not just a
That's
clothing line.
Right?
that's the
Exactly.
It's a
That's what
FUBU
people
I
think.
know.
kickboxing and a floor wax.
Right?
I only know it as a clothing line.
Right? I wonder who owns this Fubu.
Right,
I don't think it's
exactly.
us.
I think it is. It could be, who knows?
Could be.
Anyway, thank you ladies for tuning in tonight and for giving your feedback. And I felt bad for my client who was like, I was talking to my friend. I didn't expect to respond as my boss. I'm just like, well, always be your boss. I'm sorry. It's a hard lesson to learn. Many of us have learned it the hard way. And
Try not to have to learn it more than once.
right, that one I have not had to learn more than once. That particular one, I haven't had to learn more than once. But the other direction of, I thought my employees, because we started together and we were friends, I thought we were still, nope. Let some stuff jump off. Like you said, David, we're scared. Where's the leader? Oh, it's me now. So, yeah. Anyway, Thank you guys for joining in. So Facebook, I'm signing off from you. I will see you next week. Hi, Facebook.